Listen, I ain't making this. Trying to think about how I want to format and order things here. I was scrolling through the news in the UFC and MMA world as I do, so that I could prepare myself to come at you correctly. And one of the things that I saw that probably stuck out to me the most was the fact that Brian Ortega, and some of you may not know this. The only reason I know this is because I actively search for the news so that I could come to you with something. I would have never known this otherwise because I don't watch the Golden Globes. And I wouldn't have organically, most likely have just come across this information. So I may be telling some of you this for the first time. Apparently, the Golden Globes were, I don't know, sometime this weekend, maybe a couple days ago. I don't know. And Brian Ortega and what's her name? Mackenzie Dern. I keep forgetting her name. I was trying to make a reference to her the other day. I was trying to make a joke off the beanie, and I was so frustrated because I could see her face, but I could not remember her name. I think I was trying to make a joke about like Alex Pereira and something that he knows even more English than Mackenzie Dern or something. I can't remember, but I couldn't remember her name, so I had to keep like stalling and like slowing down the pacing so that you couldn't tell that I forgot her name. And then I think eventually I remembered it. Does anybody remember that? Anyway, there are times when I'm thinking of something that I want to say that I actually think is pretty funny. And then there's like one little piece I can't remember, like the person's name or whatever part of the punchline or whatever event I was referring to. And it's so frustrating. It's just this internal dialogue of mayhem. And I'm just like, you gotta remember. Because it would be so funny if you do. Anyway, apparently they were at the Golden Globes. First of all, okay, again, I'm having some issues with how I want to order this. I saw the news that they were on the Golden Globes. Hey, this is what you get on the members tab, all right? You see how the chorizo is made, all right? It's not a perfect production. I'm going to be all over the place sometimes on this tab. I saw the news that they were on the Golden Globes and that the sentiment from MMA fans, I'm not just talking about the mainstream, MMA fans were saying that it was super cringy, that it was weird, didn't make any sense, it was awkward. I saw some comment, someone says, I'm going to cancel my membership for a couple weeks because of this. And then I read an article that was talking about the irony that just under 10 years ago, Meryl Streep was talking about the mixed martial arts and how it's not an art and it's trash and all this, and now it's being highlighted and featured at the Golden Globes. I think that's hilarious. I think this crossover with Paramount, I will not only will I not be surprised, I will be surprised. I will be surprised if they don't, for whatever reason, in one form or another, have Meryl Streep in the octagon soon. I don't know if she's going to be handing out one of the BMF titles like The Rock did. Maybe because she's older. She's from an older class. You know how The Rock handed the title to Masvidal after, the inaugural BMF championship? What if Meryl Streep, because she's older, she does the Legends battle? Remember how I told you there's going to be a Legends battle? I've been telling you guys. John Jones and DC, where it's all going to culminate. How does this not happen at the White House? Once upon a time, we actually thought that Tomas Aspinall and John Jones was the biggest fight because we never could have imagined that DC will be coming back. She could be the one handing the strap for the inaugural Legends battle. Who knows? I'm just guessing. But I just thought that was ironic. And it's not like I came up with this. They were mentioning it in the article, and I just thought, wow, how quickly things could change. And I wanted to, and so anyway, the article was saying how it's just a nod at how mainstream the UFC has become. And they're being featured. I mean, not only are they on Paramount, not only are they going to be coming out on CBS, the fact that they were featured and highlighted at the Golden Globes, that's significant. It's not just something that's going to be buried in the wee hours of the morning. Like, remember back in the day, when you have insomnia and you stay up and then you hear those, you be in my heart, yes, you be in my, all those recordings, how they would just loop it was like the infomercials of the cassette tapes and stuff like that. They ain't padding it and just burying them behind, whatever reruns. They featured them on the Golden Globes. But it was very interesting how they featured them. I wanted to know why everybody thought it was so cringe. So I went and I watched the footage myself. And again, first of all, if you're gonna have two people featured on the Golden Globes, first of all, I have a lot of first of alls. I got a lot of things before the other things. I would think the way things go, if they were going to feature anybody on the world stage going mainstream, they're going to have Michael Morales. They're going to have Sean O'Malley. They're going to have Israel Adesanya. These are the type of dudes that make sense. They're going to have Peyton Talbot. It legitimately surprises me that they didn't. They went with Brian Ortega. Fresh off a loss. You know what I'm talking about, Tracy Cortez. I know he's denying it, but it ain't about that. Doesn't matter who broke up with who. Doesn't matter who come. You see someone like Boatan come and pick up the pieces after you? That's still Al, bro. That's still an Al. I don't care if you broke her heart. I don't care if she's leaving you like stalkerish voicemails. I don't care if you see her out your window. Someone like Boatan come and pick up the pieces. That's still an L for you, bro. Somehow. Brian Ortega. Now, if it was correct what I read, come on, man. Okay. Now, I know this doesn't matter. Dana White has told us himself that this doesn't matter. But if what I saw in the article was correct, I'm looking at the wrong stupid thing. Brian Ortega is currently ranked number 9, which will matter even less pretty soon here because he's going to the lightweight division. So he's going to be unranked basically. He's debuting at lightweight. I forget what event coming up pretty soon here, and he's not going to start number 1, right? I don't think it's going to be a lateral move and he's automatically number 9. Starting from the bottom again. How do you, with this gigantic merger, when you have the opportunity, they could have put Boatan. They could have shown Alex Pereira, this behemoth, this warrior. They could have put Alex Pereira up there. They could have put Tomas Aspinall, all rough around the edges, looking with double eye patches. And how's this dude even fight? Forget Drunken Master. This dude fights the Stevie Wonder style. This dude's in the ring like this. That would have blew some minds. You throw in somebody like Jiri Prochazka, someone imposing, someone that looks like he's not all there. You throw in someone like Valentina. You throw in someone like Amanda. That's who I thought they would have had. Michael Morales and Amanda Nunes. It's a wrap. How did they not throw Kayla Harrison in there? They went with Brian Ortega. Now, I'm a big proponent of let's get rid of weight classes. All this don't matter. We all seen little dudes beat up big dudes, but just optics. They have this little dude. They have this featherweight type dude in there that hasn't even fought at lightweight yet. They get this little dude, Brian Ortega. He's all depressed and everything, dark eye circles. They went with him over Boatan. Over these other dudes I mentioned, over Derek Lewis. And they went with Mackenzie Dern. I don't know if I could think of a fighter in the female division that is like less beloved, that is less liked. She's kind of turned into a meme over the years. People kind of just put up with her because they like to see her weigh in, which I don't really understand. It's a little masculine. It's not for me. I don't get it. I don't get it. It's like Brian Callen style. And then I saw forget who they put in there. Even though it's pretty hard. And you shouldn't forget, but we got to move on. I started to think, and I know I probably use this term more than I use you know how we use the word the probably more than like any other word. I feel like that's how much I use the term humiliation ritual on here now. But you know what? That's not my fault. That's not my problem. I shouldn't be self-conscious. I shouldn't stop saying humiliation ritual if they're happening all around me. If there's a ton of fires, I'm going to say, oh, fire, that one's on fire. Oops, fire. Look, I see another fire. You should call these things out. This is dangerous. You should call out all the landmines. I'm not initiating these humiliation rituals, but what am I supposed to? I'm supposed to walk around like Stevie Wonder too? I started to think maybe, and I touched on this a few weeks ago, how this merger could potentially be one big humiliation ritual for the UFC. How could it not be? How could it not be? When it was human cockfighting, when it was under the radar, when you had this VHS hiding under your mattress because it felt like illegal to even have in your possession, that's when it was real, bro. That's when it was something to brag about. That's when it was something to be proud of. It's just like judo won the Olympics now. Once you go mainstream, it's over. It's over. And then I saw it. I YouTubed it and I saw what they actually did and how they came out being paraded around in their little tracksuits, looking all like, oh my gosh. They came out looking so confused. They came out like if they hadn't really talked about it first. Mackenzie Dern's kind of looking at them and they're kind of acting like, yeah, it seems clear. Everything looks good. Coast is clear. Or should I go? Are you going that way? Should I go this way? She looked confused. It didn't look very well rehearsed. And then I stuck around to see who they were. And look, this isn't about, I'm not here to talk about gayness. That's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm sure different people watching this video will have different perspectives. The topic of this video is not gayness. However, I do believe that it's very, very convenient. I think it's fascinating. That these are the people that they had for the UFC, for the UFC's debut. The UFC's big hello to the world. So they came out, they did their thing, they left. It was all corny. And then these two dudes come on the stage. I don't know who they are. I don't watch new TV shows. You know what I was watching the other day? What I started over from the beginning, I started watching the George Lopez show. That's what I'm watching right now, George Lopez. So I've been watching a lot of Hanging with Mr. Cooper and George Lopez lately. So I see these two dudes walk out. And then I can't remember. I watched a couple different videos of it. I don't think it was on the Golden Globe footage. I think it was the one I saw because I watched like a news outlet version of what happened that night. And then I watched the actual footage. And I think it was on the news outlet one. It kind of cut to footage of what these dudes are famous for. And the show that they're on. And it showed these two dudes engaging in activity that was imposed on one another. And I was not prepared for that. Anyway, it hit me almost like this, of course, type of revelation. And again, you could think whatever. You may think one way or the other about the topic, whatever. That's not what this video is about. This video is about the fact that whoever orchestrated this very conveniently put these UFC fighters making their big hello to the world on this gigantic world stage for the first time ever, being paraded around. This is their introduction. I just think it's extremely interesting that this is what they align them with. I mean, whatever you think about dudes dressing up like ladies and ladies acting like dudes and trans this or that, it's a well-known thing, whatever side you land on, about like women or like men in media and dressing up like women and these shaming rituals and this and that. And I know for some people you might be like, well, what do you mean shaming? How's that? What's shameful about? Hey, I'm not the arbitrator. Sorry. People just know this, that these things are tied to and linked to humiliation rituals. Sorry. I know you like to kill messengers. Sorry. Are you able to execute the mental gymnastics to not find this fascinating? Are you able to? Because I'm not. I'm also not surprised. I don't think this is the end. I think we see more of this adulteration. I think we start to see people like Meryl Streep in the octagon more and more. I think we start to see actors handing out titles, and way more than ever, people you would have never expected showing up in the UFC crowds, showing up on social media with the fighters. I totally expect fighters to show up. Dana White's he's going to be in Landman. Dana White is going to have a homoerotic scene with somebody from Landman. The UFC, I mean, you had the UFC. Imagine the change from UFC 1 in 1993 to what it was in 2023. The change that we're going to see from the ESPN era to the Paramount era, it's going to be even more dramatic.